2020 was a very tumultuous year for us. It began dramatically with the early March outbreak of COVID-19, and it seemed as if the year progressively got worse and worse as time went on. However, one event that stands out that maybe wasn't so bad because even though the inciting event was very tragic and led to the loss of a father, a brother, and someone very important to his community, I also believe that it greatly incited a change, and its effects will be greatly felt moving forward. And the event that I'm referring to is the May 25th, 2020 murder of 46-year-old George Floyd. On that date, Floyd was going to his local gas station and he simply just purchased some cigarettes. The cashier assumed that the $20 bill that Floyd handed him was counterfeit. So he immediately called local police. It was then when Derek Colvin and his partner both pulled up to the gas station in order to confront Floyd about the situation. Instead of simply asking him and handling it professionally, how you would expect a police officer to be able to handle something, they instead were very aggressive with him, forced him on the ground, and Colvin even put his knee on top of Floyd's neck to make it harder for him to breathe. Bystanders and people who were with Floyd at the time recorded the situation because they knew that this was absolute blasphemy. There was no reason why this should be happening at all. And it was malpractice on the officer's part, and it was frankly despicable. Due to Colvin putting his knee on top of Floyd would eventually die because of that. Colvin spent a lot of his time after being in jail, and finally a few months later he got sentenced. But this speech isn't about him. It's about what impact did George Floyd's death have on not only just the United States, not only just his community, but the world as a whole. Well, first, let's just say the Black community wasn't very happy with it. Not only in his community were people beginning to protest, but also all around America. All minority groups collectively came together and said, no, we're not going to stand for this. We're not going to tolerate the blatant abuse of power that was present in the situation. Many riots rose up among the different cities in the United States, from Atlanta to Los Angeles to New York to Philadelphia. The riots were everywhere. Anywhere where there was a Black presence, 9 times out of 10 there was a riot. Some of them were peaceful, others weren't. However, I do believe that they all had some type of positive effect. It was the Black community's voice, and it was them letting not only police, but also the American government in general know that we will not continue to tolerate the disrespect that we have been given. We will not continue to be pushed on the ground and to be treated less than, when in the Constitution it states that we're equal, just like those with fairer skin than us. And with these riots coming about, yes, some of them were violent. Some of them were very unnecessarily violent. I will not act like those didn't exist. However, I do believe that those are the outliers in the situation. I do 100% believe that there were still people who were strongly pushing the Black Lives Matter movement that meant nothing but positivity behind it, just simply wanted to get their message across in the most direct way that they could, and they felt like the only way they could do that was from peacefully protesting. The only way that they could do that was from not only letting their voices be heard, but from physically being there, from physically walking in the streets and letting them know that they stand behind the cause and they stand behind what it is that they speak on. It got so powerful and it got so acknowledged that even countries like France and Britain, they were continuing the trend. I don't want to say trend because I feel like that demeans it, but they were pushing the cause as well, and they were having their own protests and they were having their own get-togethers where they effectively stood with and announced their alliance with the Black Lives Matter movement going on in America, and that really got the ball rolling and showing how important it is that Black people get represented, and it really put a spotlight on that this is a really bad issue that isn't new. It's not something that's just going on that just came out of thin air. It's something that's been around for decades. And George Floyd's death was the event that incited the protest, and the protest went from just being national to an international thing. And that is really and those protests are going to be the things that are going to incite change moving forward. So, what's change exactly? Change is the black community becoming less tolerant of police brutality. Often, it is just looked at as just normal to be suspicious of an officer's intentions when pulling you over. It could be for speeding. It could be because he just assumes that you have some illegal substance on you. You never truly know, as not even just a Black person, but as a minority in America. That tolerance to that is beginning to go away. And also, it's beginning to align not only minority groups, but also Caucasians who want to help proceed past the previous racial boundaries that their predecessors put on minorities. The progressive white people, they want to see change just as badly as we do, and they want to make sure that they want to truly make America free, just like how the Constitution says. It's not just they want to push an agenda because it's popular right now. They're not just saying Black Lives Matter because it's trendy and because everybody is doing it. No, they're doing it because they genuinely want to see people who are not whose only difference from them is skin color be treated like that. Because at the end of the day, we're all the same. To close this speech, I like to make a reference to my visual aid. It is from one of my personal favorite musical artists. His name's Lil Baby, and he's a very prominent figure in the Black community. And he released a song during the time of the protests back in 2020 that was very prevalent and it had much weight to it because it pretty much put into song exactly how the Black community felt and exactly how we can change and exactly how things can properly develop in the right direction. And that was a key marker for not only me, but many in the Black community as well, that we had artists and other people all coming together to be able to say one unified message, that Black Lives Matter. And it's greatly due into the part of George Floyd. Thank you.